Hello, Rocket fans, and welcome back to the Wick Boyz Toledo Rockets podcast. I am your host, Brian Nowicki. My co-host here is Jacob Nowicki.
What's going
And
on?
give you a little background, Jacob is a former youth and high school football player, and as well as a youth football coach. Um, I have a good background in covering the Rockets in the past. I was the managing editor of Rocket Digest on the old Scout.com network. I was a co-creator and managing editor of The Rocket Nation on the Rivals.com network as well. Also, a youth basketball football coach and president of Youth Football Coaches Association. All right, today's show, we are going to talk about the Boca Raton Bowl. Before we do that, though, I do want to bring something else up. This is actually pretty cool for Toledo. Tonight, probably as we're recording this podcast, it's Tuesday, December 6th. We're probably going to release this tomorrow morning, but we're recording it tonight. The College Football Hall of Fame is inducting two former Rockets.
Well,
Um, former head coach Gary Pinkel and Rocket legend QB Chuck Ely.
all right.
So Chuck Ely, uh, known as the Wizard of Oohs and Ahs from back in the 1969 through 71 season, a perfect 35-0 in his 3 years at Toledo, leading Toledo to the second longest modern major football winning streak, 35 games. Oklahoma holds the longest at 47 games. Um, Back in the day, back in that time, freshmen did not play on varsity football in college. So he only had 3 years as a sophomore, junior, and senior. Led the team, like I said, to 35 straight wins, 3 straight Tangerine Bowl victories, and of course, 3 straight MAC championships. Then went on to the Canadian Football League, the CFL. This is a long time coming for him, right? Toledo fans have been asking for him to make the College Football Hall of Fame for a long, long time. It's very well deserved. It finally happened. Gary
Nice.
Pinkel, the winningest coach in UT football history. He started in the early 90s, went through 2000. Of course, the 2000 year was the great year when Toledo beat Penn State 24-6, totally dominating them. It was a bigger domination than the score actually at 24-6. It's back with Chester Taylor as the running back. And of course, then after Toledo, he moved on to Missouri, built up a Missouri football program to a solid program that really hadn't been very good before that. And now he is entering the College Football Hall of Fame tonight as well. So congratulations to both Gary Pinkel and Chuck Ely.
That's good.
All right. So now we get into the meat and potatoes here. And the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl on Tuesday, December 20th at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. Are Toledo Rockets taking on the Liberty Flames? Now I'm going to ask you in a minute what your thoughts are on Liberty, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that team. But I also want to mention tickets are now on sale through the UT ticket office. If you're interested in going to that game down in Florida, phone number for the ticket office is 419-530-4653, or you can go to the Rocket ticket office at Savage Arena during normal business hours, or utrockets.com/tix. That's TIX. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Liberty. Toledo has faced them 3 times in the past, all while they were an FCS program. This is their 4th year in FBS, and it is their 4th straight up bowl appearance. There's only 2 other teams that have done that,
Which are?
gone to FBS and played in 4 straight bowl games. Appalachian State. I
Okay.
kind of hate bringing this one up, but it's Marshall. Yes. All right. So great start to FBS for them, right? This season, they're 8-4. They were ranked 19th in the country in early November. They've had some big wins. They beat BYU 41-14 and Arkansas 21-19. They only lost to Wake Forest 37-36 by 1 point. They lost to Virginia Tech by 1 point. I believe that score was 23-22.
All right.
Then the downside, they only beat Akron 21-12. They've lost 3 straight games. UConn, Virginia Tech, and I don't even remember the last team. I didn't write it down in my notes, but it wasn't a very impressive win. I think or impressive loss. I believe it was New Mexico State or New Mexico, someone like that. So 3 straight losses. They lost their head coach, and a good portion of their staff has gone on to another team, which for some reason it's mistaken me. I can't remember. Is that Coastal Carolina, maybe?
I thought it was Troy.
It could be. I can't remember. So very up and down season for them, right? Good quality wins, 3 straight losses though now, and you lose your head coach and a good portion of your staff, really. So given all of that, what are your thoughts on Liberty as a team coming into this bowl game and then how to go against Toledo?
All right. Well, you got to look at it like this. They don't have their head coach. That's a big thing right there. Then let's look at their wins. They got BYU. You said what was the score in that game?
They beat BYU 41-14.
Okay, yeah, they destroyed
But
BYU.
BYU, okay, we thought BYU was going to be really good this year, and then they didn't really play that good, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
they
hard to
had a
say.
close game against Notre Dame. But that was about it. But no, they beat BYU pretty good. They beat Arkansas. We thought Arkansas was gonna be good this year, and that didn't really happen. They lost to Wake Forest by 1 point, and Wake Forest is one of the better teams in the ACC. So I think when they come out to play Toledo, they're gonna have a really good defense. Um, if you look at Toledo and how they played the last few weeks, their defense was only good in the last week. It's always hit or miss. If Toledo wants to win the game, they need to come out strong. They need to play on all sides of the ball. Um, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be competitive. Um, if Liberty is not, if they come out as a team that they played like the very first like 6 weeks, they're going to win. If they come out like how they did against Virginia Tech, who's not really good, and New Mexico State, they're going to get crushed.
So let me give you something else here. A common opponent, UMass.
All right.
Toledo beat UMass 55-10.
Okay.
Liberty beat UMass 42-24.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So maybe Liberty probably has better defense than Toledo. I don't know about the offense because Toledo starts very slow. In their game against each other coming up, it's probably going to be like low scoring first half, high scoring second half, and it really just depends on how the defenses play, coaching decisions, and that's another thing. Liberty doesn't have their coach, so how are they going to react to that, and what kind of position that's going to put them in? You know.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So let's dig a little deeper here into Liberty. Looking at their team, Jonathan Bennett is a junior quarterback. He threw for 1,534 yards, 12 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Caden Salter is a redshirt freshman quarterback. He threw for 1,004 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Running back looks pretty good. He's a sophomore, Day Hunter, 94.9 rush yards per game and 8 touchdowns. And their leading receiver by far was sophomore Demario Douglas, 73 receptions, 977 yards, and 6 touchdowns. but 73 receptions. And I believe when I looked at the stats, second on the team was like 37 or 36 receptions. So he's really their go-to guy. So thinking about that Toledo defense, right?
They
It's a
they
key
don't
to
do great
shut down
against
the
the run.
run, but you really got to look at one guy at receivers, your main guy you got to shut down.
Yeah. I mean, it also depends what quarterback they're going to put in the game as well. Because you could be focused on their main quarterback, and then right through the game, something's not working out. They have the other quarterback, and you got to adjust. And you don't know if he's going to run the ball a lot or if he's going to pass. You got to, you know.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So let's see here. As I continue to look at some of the stats I had here, um, let's see. I think did I not put down? Sorry, I'm so unorganized here.
All right.
Okay, here we go. So both teams get penalized about the same. Liberty, 6 penalties for 65 yards is their average for the season. Toledo, 7 penalties for 55 yards. It seems like Toledo gets more than 7 penalties for 55 yards per game.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
the reason why I believe is because it's always at a key time. Uh, it seems like offensively, it's a false start or a holding call when they're backed up at like their 15, 20 yard line. And then defensively, it's always a penalty on third down when you had them stop for fourth down and it became a first down because of the penalty. So it seems like there's been more penalties called on them than what we've actually seen. But the big issue is just key times, I guess, that the penalties happen. And I talked about this in the first podcast that you weren't able to join, but penalties have been a killer for the offense.
Yeah.
It seems like it'll be first down, and before you know it, there's a false start and it's first and 15, or there's a holding call on first down, and now it's first and 20. And Toledo runs a spread offense, but you like to really get the running game going in that spread offense. And it's hard to do that when it's first and 15 and first and 20. And that makes a big difference. It makes a big difference for the defense too, because now the offense goes 3 and out. The other team gets the ball near midfield, and you were just out on the field on defense, and now you're back on the field again. So what do you think about how the penalties are going to play out in this game?
Honestly, if uh, Toledo's gonna get called for penalties, it's a no-brainer. I haven't watched a game this season where they haven't been called for at least like five in the first half. Like there was a lot of false starts, and I think that's the main problem. They don't set like when the quarterback is like adjusting everyone and stuff, he doesn't always make sure his wide receivers and tight ends were set up for the play. I think there's gonna be a lot of false starts. Um I think there's gonna be on defense, we're talking about defense right now, there's gonna be a lot of pass interferences because I feel like Toledo's defense is good with the pass and they're not as good with the run. But sometimes if Liberty is gonna throw a deep shot, there's gonna be pass interference because those receivers are faster.
And so you bring up a good point there about the defense being better against the pass and the run. And I got one player to name right away is the main reason why, and that's Quinyon Mitchell. 5 interceptions this year, 2 returned for touchdowns. He's been great at defensive back for Toledo. Um, the whole secondary plays well, but he just makes it that much harder to pass to. I would think he is going to be on Demario Douglas most of the game, on the one-on-one coverage with probably a safety to help out as well. So that's going to make it harder to throw the ball. But you're right in saying that Toledo does tend to give up a little more rushing. It seems like, at least in certain games. I'm going to look at some more stats here, and you know they're only giving up 185.5 yards per game passing defensively, the Rockets. So that's not bad. It's under 200. Rushing is 146.4. It's really not that bad either. Obviously, it'd be great if you could get it lower, but altogether, that's not bad. Offensively, Toledo has rushed for 178 yards per game and passed for 227.8 yards per game. Looking at their totals, we're talking 32.1 points per game offensively. Defensively, they're giving up 25.5 points per game, but we know that number kind of got skewed really by two games, Ohio State and Bowling Green, giving up, I think it was 77 points to Ohio State and was it 52, I believe, to Bowling Green. So you take those two out of the equation, and then the number of points per game that they're giving up is a lot lower. Now you look at Liberty. Defensively, they're giving up 201.3 pass yards per game, 144.1 rush yards per game, pretty close to Toledo's numbers, but a little more passing yards per game that they're giving up. Offensively, they're going 178.6 rush yards per game, 222.2 pass yards per game. They're scoring 28.3 points per game, giving up 24.9 points per game. So when you look at all these stats, it really looks like this could be a very even game. And I think it's going to come down to a couple things. It's going to come down to the health of the quarterback for Toledo, the offensive line play, and not having the quarterback constantly being rushed out of the pocket when they go back to pass, and then penalties. I think that's going to be a key thing. And of course, turnovers are always a big thing too, but I really think those are going to be some of the big keys to the game.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the keys?
Well, it's nice that you mentioned about the quarterbacks and how healthy they are because Toledo has two good quarterbacks. And if Finn's in the game, he's dual threat. He can run the ball if he's healthy. He's a pretty good passer. And their backup quarterback, what was it? He broke his finger. What is
Yeah,
that?
broke his
If
finger. Yeah,
he's healthy, they can always switch him into the game because he's done pretty well this season. He runs the ball, he can throw it. He's actually very good with the read option. So it depends. I don't really think what quarterbacks in the game is going to change anything because I've seen Liberty play a few teams this year and they have like really good rush defense. I think it's just when you throw the ball, let's say you're throwing to Maddox or something, it's gonna be like very tough because the receivers, their defensive backs tend to slip a lot. So it depends. I think the key for Toledo to win against Liberty is all about the penalties. They gotta like really be focused, really trust each other and their defense. Their defense has to come together. They have to stop the run, stop the pass, look out for like trick plays and all that. I think their defense is the key to win the game.
yeah. And a good point that you brought up about Finn and Gleason at quarterback. Um, everybody always talks about DeQuan Finn, very mobile, good running back, good running quarterback, I should say. But we don't really think that of Tucker Gleason yet. He's ran the ball really well out of the quarterback position. He scrambled well when he's been in the game.
Mhm.
So that's definitely very interesting to see how that will play out. Will Finn be 100%? He's got a couple weeks here to get healthier. The good thing is you've got the extra practices to get ready for the bowl game. That's always great for a program going into the following year. And yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this game goes. So, how about a prediction? What's your prediction?
Prediction, right? Um, so like I said, the key is for Toledo's defense to really jump from the start and like really get in there. If that doesn't happen, I think Liberty's going to come out mad because they lost last week. They've been losing lately. Their head coach left them. I think they're going to come out ready. And if Toledo can't stop them, I think Liberty takes the win 27-16.
27-16. Okay. All right. So let's see my prediction here. So, I really think the Toledo offense has a lot of potential. I'm really, really down about the offensive line. They just there's been a lot of mistakes. There's been missed blocks on picking up blitzes when there's a 3 or 4 man rush. You got 5 offensive linemen, and one guy blitzes in up the middle, and they don't pick him up. And I know sometimes, you have your running back in to pick up the blitz, but these are cases where he should be picked up by the offensive line, right? The footwork just doesn't really seem to be where it needs to be at this level of football play. And the penalties are killers. So I really don't know what to think about the offense. I mean, we could score 30 or 40 points in this game, or we could score like 10. I really don't know. Maybe the defense can score some points too. I don't know. The defense, they've been pretty solid, but sometimes they get tired too because the offense is 3 and out and they're back out on the field and so forth. And the defense isn't perfect, so I think the defense can carry the team, but I think if Toledo's going to win, they really need the offense to pick it up. Uh, MAC championship game, they won 17-7 over Ohio. I don't know that you can get it done by only giving up 7 points. I just don't think that's going to happen against Liberty. I think they're going to give up more points. It's whether or not 17 to 20 points is enough. I don't know. I keep going back and forth, but I'm going to say Toledo's going to win this game 28-24. It could go either way, though. Like I said, I mean, Toledo could win, Liberty can win, depending what happens with penalties and turnovers, and you just don't know. This could get lopsided, really. There's been a history sometimes of lopsided games, and then history of nice victories for the Toledo Rockets in bowl games. So we'll have to see how that goes. You're facing a team that is in their 4th straight bowl appearance, 4th year in FBS. They know how to win bowl games, and so does Toledo. Toledo's been in many bowl games lately, so this could be a very competitive game. So, given on that, anything else you want to add before we kind of close out today's show?
I'm just really like interested on how they're gonna do the quarterbacks for Toledo. I think it's interesting. Just let's say both quarterbacks are healthy. I really think Gleason should be the starter, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for that. But do you know what year he is?
He's a redshirt freshman.
Okay, and Finn, he's what, junior, senior? Junior.
Finn is a sophomore, I
Sophomore,
believe.
okay.
Yes, he's considered a
So
sophomore.
it'll be a good competition for the spot next year. But I think
Yeah.
when Gleason, his very first game this year that he came into play, he was trash. But the next few weeks he got really good. He started understanding more, and I mean he's a freshman. Things are gonna happen. Mistakes are gonna happen. I think when you put Gleason in the game, he can throw the ball and he can run, and I think he's a little faster than Finn. I think he can make better decisions.
I think
It's
Finn's faster, but
okay.
okay.
I mean, I think
He's
he
a
can make
solid
better
runner, though.
decisions, but it's just gonna depend on what Candle wants to do because he's the coach, and
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
that's.
I definitely think that Gleason has some great potential at quarterback. I think he's got the potential to be a better passer than Finn. But Finn really is more mobile and makes the defense worry a little more about the run. I think they don't think that Gleason's gonna really hurt them running until he starts running, and then he does hurt them like he did in the games he's played. But I think Finn makes the defense think about it a little more when he's in there. So it's interesting to see. It's gonna be interesting to see not just in the bowl game, but what's gonna happen next year, like you said. They're both good, capable quarterbacks, and I could see either one of them. If one gets the hot hand in the bowl game, or if one's still not 100%, you could see the other one get most of the playing time. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching this episode, and we'll be back soon with another episode thinking that we're probably going to be taking a look at the basketball side of things here in our next episode. So thank you, Rocket fans, and see you soon.